Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy 2021. Insane, we're already in February. I feel like this year's already gonna fly by, but let's not talk about it because then I'll get all emotional that my baby's just gonna grow really fast. Anyways, welcome back. Long time no see. I am officially healed from well, not healed, I wouldn't say, because postpartum's just, I feel like it's definitely past the 40 days, but I'm officially past and done with my 40 days. I got the check from my doctor that I'm all clear and such. So yeah, obviously, if you can tell based on the title of the video, I'm going to be telling you my my labor and delivery story. Unfortunately, I didn't get to vlog it, which I'm like so sad about because I really wanted to vlog it, but every hospital is different and unfortunately mine didn't allow us to record. They said just because everything going on, I don't really know how that affects it, but you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, you know, giving birth and having a healthy baby boy was all I really wanted. So at the day, that's all I really wanted. So, you know, it is what it is and it's unfortunate, but we are still going to talk about my story because I feel like everyone obviously has their story. So yeah, let's just get into it. Also, I have some notes on my phone, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So I started having contractions that weren't very consistent on the 23rd, December 23rd, 2020. I started having some contractions, but they weren't consistent and the pain was like the middle. They weren't too bad, but again, they weren't consistent. I started having them in the afternoon and then by the evening towards nighttime they would go away. That was the 23rd. So then December 24th, 2020, which was Christmas Eve, I actually didn't go out with my family, or neither did Austin. We both stayed at home just because literally the hospital is like so close to me that I didn't want to go further away from the hospital because I'm actually I was close to my due date, so I didn't want to go further from the hospital. And my parents, they live about 40 minutes away. Austin's parents are much closer, but again, I didn't want to be around like family. And then I also was not feeling well at all. It just, everything hurt at that point, and just having contractions, feeling comfortable, like I just wanted to be in my own home and in some sweats that didn't even fit and just be cozy. Yeah, so Christmas Eve, again, I started having contractions. These were a little bit more painful, but again, not as much to where I couldn't like breathe through or talk through. So I didn't go to the hospital or anything. And they weren't consistent. I think they were like every 30 minutes I would get contractions, but then they would go away, so that wasn't consistent. So kind of rolled that out. I did a lot of like walking, mainly in the apartment, because it was towards the evening that they just were kind of uncomfortable and it was really cold around that time, so I wasn't about to go outside or anything. So I would just kind of did a lot of walking around the apartment. I did squats, I was on my ball, you know, just kind of getting doing things to get baby moving. And then towards the night they really started picking up, but and I legit thought I was going to have him that night, but as soon as I started like getting sleepy and going to sleep, they completely went away and then they stopped hurting. And I would consistently get up to go to the bathroom anyways, so when I would get up to go, like they just stopped hurting and I wasn't feeling anything, so I was like, okay, he's not coming. So then the 25th, Christmas morning, around like 6 a.m. I started feeling them again, but this time they were like pretty painful, but again, they weren't consistent. So I was like, okay, they're not consistent, I'm not gonna go to the hospital, but I was tracking them. I did have a little contraction like counter on my phone and I was tracking them and they weren't consistent, but they did hurt for like from 6 to like 8ish. They were hurt, and then they stopped around 8. So then I got up, I had some breakfast, I kind of just did my little morning routine, but then around like 9:30 10ish, they started picking up again, but they weren't consistent, but they really did hurt and I was uncomfortable. So I went back into bed. Austin was still laying in bed, so I went back into bed just because it was getting pretty painful that I didn't want to do anything. So I laid in bed, and again I was tracking them, and then around like 10, literally within 10 minutes of getting into my bed, they started picking up more, and they were more back to back. And as I started tracking them more, they started getting back to back. So around like 10, no, it was like 11, around 11, that's when I told Austin, like, hey, I think we should go to the hospital. Like, I've been tracking them and they were 6 to 5 minutes apart, and the pain every time they would come, it was pretty painful. So I told Austin, I think we should go to the hospital, and Austin legit thought my water had to break in order to like go to the hospital, that the baby was coming, but I kept telling him like, no, not everyone's water breaks. So so I told them, let's go to the hospital, like just to get checked. If I'm not dilated enough, then they'll send us home, and that's fine, you know, let's come home. But I just kind of wanted to see where we're at, because before that I didn't get checked or anything, so I had no idea where I was at and such. We packed up our stuff. Well, I already had my stuff, but we kind of freshened up and then went to the hospital. They checked us in and such, and when they checked to see how dilated I was 4 centimeters dilated at that point when they checked me. So they said it was enough, and they put me in a room. Okay, I had to turn the lights on because it was getting really dark, and I am filming this video pretty late. Yeah, in the mornings and during the day it gets pretty hectic with a baby. So they put me in a room, and I got like all in a little gown and such. They hooked me up to the machines. I did get COVID tested, which I had gotten COVID tested at my doctor's office a week before I was going to, before my due date, and I thought that would be enough, but no, they did test me again, which was, ugh, I hate getting that test, but obviously I tested negative. A little time passed, the contractions did start coming more, and they were very painful, not gonna lie, and they did ask if I wanted an epidural. Props to all of those moms that can do it or have done it without an epidural, because wow, it is so painful. I couldn't do it, so I did get an epidural, and within like just minutes of getting it, it was so much better. Just the whole like process of it, I thought, I've heard of like stories where it's like kind of bad, but mine wasn't too bad. The nurses and the doctors were super nice and such. So I got the epidural, and I was feeling a whole lot better, and basically it was just play the waiting game until I dilated more. So we just kind of waited and chilled until I started to dilate more. I did start dilating more, but then it kind of slowed down around like 6 p.m. So they placed it's like a ball that's shaped like a peanut, like kind of like the bouncy balls, but it's shaped like a peanut. They put that like between my knees to kind of help dilate more, and I did that for about an hour, and around, I want to say 7, yeah, around 7, the pain, like the epidural, I guess it started wearing off, because I got it fairly early. I went in at 11. I think I got the epidural maybe like 12:30, so I got it pretty early. So around 7 p.m. it started, I think, yeah, my left side started hurting so bad. I literally felt like sharp pain in my hip, and like it felt like somebody was stabbing me. Like, it was so painful, and I was feeling all of the contractions, and it was just so painful. Oh my gosh, I wanted to just cry and scream because it was so painful. And they were gonna give me more epidural, but the guy that like gives it, I forgot his name, I don't even know what they're called, but the person who injects like the epidural, he was with other patients. So I was waiting, and it literally felt like an eternity waiting because it was so painful. And I was literally just grabbing Austin's hand and just squeezing every time I would get a contraction because it was so painful. And it felt like the longest, and he was just kind of there rooting for me. There's not really much he could have done for me. And they finally came in and gave me more epidural, and oh my gosh, it was better. And we just kept waiting. I tried to get some sleep, but it's kind of hard to sleep well in the hospital. Just they keep coming in and out, and the bed's not that comfy. The epidural helped, but I was just uncomfortable. Like, the bed's not comfortable, and you just feel really big and such, and it's just, you know, it's not comfy. Around 10 p.m. they said we were gonna start to push. So they like got everything set up. I propped my legs up, and they asked me if I started having that like the need to push, that sensation to push, or the sensation to poop, and I said yes, but I low-key didn't really have that sensation yet. But I was so like, oh my gosh, I need to get this baby out type of feeling, that I just said yes. And so when he started pushing, I didn't really like feel that sensation. So they're like, oh, are you pushing? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, but you know, push here, like feel where my finger is, like push there. And I literally was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. They're like, it should feel like if you have to poop, so push like if you want to poop. And I would push, but I literally wouldn't like feel that sensation. So I was like, okay. So we literally did that, not gonna lie, for like almost an hour. So my advice is just wait. Like, your body will do it on its own. When your body is ready, that is when it's ready. And yeah, there's really no need to like try to make things go much faster, because at the end of the day, your body calls the shots. So around 11, I would say a little bit before 11, I started to get that sensation, like that pushing sensation. So once that started coming, then I started to push, and they're like, okay, now you're like doing it. So I started to push, and they can start seeing baby's head. However, baby was a little bit bigger. Actually, I'm very petite as it is. So they could see baby's head, but he was kind of stuck there. So they wanted to get him out, move things. So I literally tried every position you can think of to give birth. If you can think of it, I most likely did it. I literally did every turn, move to try to get this baby moving. And in that, they actually wanted to flip him because he was in a correct position, but because I was very petite, he wasn't coming out like the way he was going to come out. It made it a little bit more difficult. So they were moving me every position, and I was pushing, and he was just kind of stuck there, just pushing and pushing, and he just wasn't budging. He would literally, like, you could see his head come out, and then it'd go back in. Because that was my fault, because I'd be like inhaling and and then pushing, and they were like, no, don't do that, like you're sucking him back in. So I was pushing and pushing, and I legit thought he was gonna be born Christmas Day, the 25th. But once 12 hit, then I was like, yeah, okay, we're in the clear. He's not gonna be born that day. Which, if he was born that day, you know, whatever, I would take it. But I kind of didn't want him to be born that day, just because it is Christmas, and sharing your birthday with Christmas sucks. I don't have that issue, but my family does. My sister, she has her birthday around Christmas, and she says it sucks. And Austin, he actually has the same birthday as 4th of July, which 4th of July and Christmas aren't, you know, the same. But even then, he doesn't like it, so I didn't want him to share you know, his birthday with Christmas. But once 12 hit and he still wasn't born, I was like, okay, we're in the clear. After this, it's technically the 26th, so we're good. And yeah, basically just pushing and pushing. After almost 6 hours of pushing, baby finally came out. Literally that last push, I was so exhausted. I was pushing for such a long time. It was like 1, 2, 3 in the morning of just pushing. I was so tired. Literally between contractions I would fall asleep because I was so tired, and then the sensation of having to push again would wake me up. And after all that pushing, finally baby came out. He was born at 3:26 a.m. December 26, 2020. And that feeling of like when he comes out, that last final push, it's like the life gets sucked out of you. Like it just, that's how it feels. It's like it gets sucked out of you, and then the second they place baby on you, it's like your life is back, like you're reborn. Like I don't know, it's such a weird feeling. But when he comes out, it just felt so like, I don't know, like everything comes out, and then they put him on me, and it's like, oh my gosh, you feel this insane amount, like it's painful, and then so much joy, and like it's just a weird feeling. Weird but like amazing feeling. And just seeing him, I remember just looking up at Austin and telling him, oh my gosh, I did it, like I did it. And he was so happy, we were all happy, and just seeing his little face and holding him, oh my gosh, it was just like the best feeling in the world. I actually tore a zigzag, which is a very fun once you got the stitches, but I tore a zigzag. I didn't tear straight down, and I got 2nd degree tearing. Yeah, 2nd degree tearing. I actually lost a lot of blood, so I did have to be hooked up like on the little, I don't even know what it's called, IUVs, I don't know what it's called, but I was actually had to be on those an extra day because I did lose more blood than they would have liked. But when baby was born, he actually had a little coned head going on because he was a whole lot bigger than they expected, and I was very petite. He was caught in my what is it, pelvis, I don't know, but he had a little like cone head going on, but that went down within like that day. My last ultrasound, they estimated that he would have been 5 pounds to maybe 6 pounds. Yeah, that wasn't the case, and I knew when they measured them at the ultrasound, it's never like the exact, it's always a little bit off. But yeah, they were definitely off with his size. He ended up coming in at 7 pounds 4 ounces. Yeah, weighing 7 pounds 4 ounces, and he was 20 inches long, born December 26, 2020. But here he is, Mr. Greyson Dean, and he is currently, or he's almost 7 weeks old, and he is just the best cute little baby ever, and I love him so much. He did scratch his eye right here because he loves grabbing his face, and he no longer, like, his little hands don't fit in the mittens anymore. His nails are cut, but he somehow still manages to scratch his face. Give you guys a little close-up. Can you say hi to the camera? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are a mom, I would love to hear your birth story. I've heard of some pretty crazy birth stories of like women actually having them in their car, which is insane. So if you had a little baby, I would love to hear your birth story, so let me know. Leave it down in the comments, or you can always send me a message. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Say bye!